The Heresy Accountabilibuddies Podcast is dedicated to all things Horus Heresy. This podcast delves into the grimdark universe where Primarchs clash, legions rise, and loyalties fracture faster than a Land Raider's track. But it's not just about the lore of the Horus Heresy. The Accountabilibuddies also explore the gaming side of things, from painting and modeling tips to product reviews and ideas to help you in your hobby. So, whether you're a seasoned Forge World veteran or a fresh-faced scout, this podcast is your Vox channel to the galaxy. Expect discussions on lore, modeling, gaming, and maybe even the shenanigans that your hosts somehow seem to find their way into. Remember, in the grim darkness of the far future, there are only two things you can count on: Heresy and your trusty Accountabilibuddies.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 109 of the Heresy Accountabilibuddies. I am Duncan, and tonight I'm joined by my friends who are...
Jamie.
apparently unable to say their names.
And Jack.
And John.
One day we've gotten it right. I know we have. I just don't remember when. It might even have been last episode. Anyway, thank you for joining
100.
us. Yeah, it probably was. Thank you for joining us, listeners, on this episode 109, the final episode of 2024. It has been a very eventful year in many ways. We're looking forward to seeing what next year brings. And before we get into everything we're going over tonight, we'll go ahead and pause for our station identification.
Do you love resin bases? Then go to our sponsor, Elric Hobbies, for all of your basing and basing accessory needs. Use code HERESYABB at checkout for a discount. Legendary Monument Hobbies. Monument Hobbies is a one-stop shop for all of your painting needs. Use code HERESYABB at checkout for a 5% discount on your purchase. Pop Goes the Monkey. Find maker of third-party accessory bits of arms, legs, backpacks, and more, where you can get 10% off your first order over $125 with code HERESYABB at checkout.
And a huge thank you and shout out to all of our patrons. Without you, half of this stuff would probably never get done, and the other half would get done late. So we appreciate each and every single one of you all. So as always, let's start off with some hobby stuff. I'll go first.
Ooh.
What did I get done today or this week?
What did you get done this week?
I got some blue laid down on some backpacks and some shoulder pads. I got my airbrush fixed to where it's working again and blowing straight, not off and to the left.
Woo.
And I'm very happy about that. And then yesterday, for Jack and myself, I saw our friend and former co-host Jake, who came by to drop stuff off to me. And wow, the amount of stuff that got dropped off to me is really cool. Corin, I now have your Alpha Legion army fully here, ready to go. So whenever you want to come by and play a game, it will be sitting here waiting for you, sir. I'm happy to have finally gotten that finished for you, or have him got that for you over here to my house, since he does live a state and a bit away. Beyond that, have not done a lot. I've been playing Return to Moria, which has been really fun because I yearn for the mines, apparently. John, what have you done?
All right, so I've actually got a fair bit to cover. So during our hobby progress this week, I was working on one of the cutaway tiles with the, everyone calls him seated, but he's kind of bullet-ridden and fallen over, Contemptor Dreadnought. To get the damaged display base in kind of a, obviously the things I'm using are kind of like pin holders from Daiso, and so I needed to fill in all that empty room in there. So I broke out a Proxxon hot wire cutter. So this is almost like a table saw, but for foam, and it works really well. It's got a two-part fence system that goes and can be set up in multiple different directions, and a bunch of other really cool stuff that a lot of companies make a bunch of add-ons for it, so you can get like column cutters and things like that. So if you look up Proxxon, you'll find thousands of different recommendations and things like that. I'll admit it's not cheap. I bought it almost year and a half ago when Amazon ran a sale on it, but it's just been kind of sitting in a box because I hadn't worked on a lot of foam terrain in years, but I knew I would want one when I got back to that. So I cut out a whole bunch of little bricks that could go inside the broken base and shoved them all in there, and then got the contemptor on top of it. Dug out some of my older ornament hangers. So they make Target sells them a lot, and you guys may be wanting to look for them right now as they're going to be on sale. If they have braided ornament hangers, they're a little more expensive than the cheapo little wire ones that most people are kind of used to, but these make great rebar when you shove them into foam. So shoved a whole bunch of little ornament hangers into the broken up bricks that I made to make it look like a, kind of reinforce this big setting, and then pushed it all together. And got that all built up for the event that I ran this weekend at Dallas Games Marathon. So this was our last event of 2024, kind of people double checking things off their list to make sure their Adepticon progress is going correctly and everything's going to be going together. So I ran that event and also played in it with the Solar Ox list I came up with a couple months ago here on the podcast, which was the kind of Solar Ox Air Force using the Velatari units. Those are the guys with the Volkites that can upgrade. For some reason, have to pay 5 points a model to upgrade to have power axes. Didn't take any power axes to mine. I had two different ratios of a command squad, a Volkite squad. So the command squad had Volkites, a squad had Volkites, and I took a rotor cannon squad as well. A medic in every one of those squads, and those were in Arvises, so that's 6 Arvis. Then I had the Praetor, or not the Praetor. It's basically a Praetor with his stats and all his upgrades, but it's the command marshal and his unit of protectors out of the Beta Garmin book, and they have 2 Thunderhammers and a whole bunch of blast pistols, and just kind of a silly, overpriced unit. Also inside of an Arvis for my fast attack choice. Then I have 2 Thunderbolts, 9 Rapier laser destroyers. I'm using the HISS tanks that I was using for custom Scout Sentinels earlier. I'm trying them out as Rapier laser destroyers since they're about the same size as the Scout Sentinels. And then 2 Vanquisher Russes and a unit of 9 Charonite Ogrins. So basically, when the game starts, the only thing on the table is the Ogrins, the Russes, and the Rapiers. And so all that gets set up. I hope no one can blast it off the table on turn 1. And then I hope that my dice are decently rolled as I bring in the Arvis Air Force. I built all that in Quartermaster, and if anyone's actually decent at math, you'll notice that it's not 3,000 points. Quartermaster has some bugs in it, and obviously it's fan-made, so I can go ahead and edit it myself, but the medics are almost free. The Rapier laser destroyers are really badly costed, and there's some other stuff in there. So Lucas and I were just kind of shooting the shit after the game, talking about how we did, and it looks like that list is probably closer to 3,500 points. Now, you bring a 3,500 point list to a 3,000 point game, you probably think you're going to win. But I can assuage you with that fact. I got tabled both games. Like, bad. I think I killed 1 unit. I think the first game I killed 2 Contemptors out of 3, and that was about it. All the other things I just kind of managed to wound some. And this was with focus fire and things like that. I just wasn't. It was either the dice, or it was the bad shot placement or shooting, or it was the fact that the best ballistic skill in the army is 4, which still means hit on 3s, but it's, at max I'm shooting 40 Volkite shots and or 40 guys with Volkite, so that's 80 shots, and 20 guys with rotor cannons, and then obviously the bigger guns that are already deployed. So as far as like a small elite army goes, I was outnumbered both times by the opponents I played, a World Leaders opponent and a Night Lords opponent. Night Lords obviously bring to the table night fighting, and then that brings up more problems with the Solar Auxilia in general. So I can say that I'm really kind of not looking at Solar Aux as having any ability to. I don't want to say be fun, because I did enjoy the games because they were my friends that I was playing. I played local guys, Josh, who's running an event in January that I'm going to go to out in Tyler, it's about an hour drive away, and Lucas in the second round with his new Night Lords he's working on for Adepticon. But I don't see them as being don't want to say competitive, and I don't want to say not fun, because obviously you can have fun with games, but it is soul crushing with how bad they are. The Oops All Sentinels list was fun because the events I went to, they didn't put a lot of line requirements in the games, and even then I was losing a vast majority of everything every game. The only thing that seems to do killing in the Solar Ox list is the Vanquisher, and almost the less of those you can take, the more hampered you're going to be.
And that's kind of what I've heard from a lot of people, is that's the money unit.
Yeah. I don't want to be Debbie Downer, but I just keep running into that. I keep thinking of cool ways to build lists. I keep thinking of, I'll take a couple of these, or do something with this, or I'll do that. And Lucas and I sat down and compared model to model, and Solar Ox rapiers, 3 laser rapiers, is, I want to say, like 195, and then the Marine one is like 225. And for that 30-point difference, you get way higher leadership, the better save, better toughness, Legion reactions apart from, instead of terrestrial reactions. Like, it's just constant better things for the same or almost the same, and even sometimes less points. Like the Volkite Tertio squads were so expensive, especially if you want them with the axes, which I don't know why you would do, considering you're already weapon skill 4, and that's considered elite in that army. The Protectors and the Marshal, 500 points for that squad, for a squad that is basically 2 wound, toughness 3 Space Marines, 10 of them, and a character that's got a Paragon Blade and a bunch of other stuff, but if he goes toe to toe with an actual Space Marine, he just gets destroyed. So I think if I'm going to take Solar Ox to events, it's going to be because I want to look pretty more than I want to have fun playing games. So I think I'm going to try, honestly, either I'm going to take the Oops All Sentinels list because it's done to Adepticon, and that's just going to be easier than having to worry about things, or I'm going to be taking my Knights to Adepticon and just try to finish off some of the units that they need. And even then, I don't have some of the powerhouse units that come in Knights, so I'm probably better off with Ultramarines. But so my Adepticon thoughts are still kind of up in the air as far as what I want to take, to be honest. So I keep going through that. Now, not to be Debbie Downer, then at the end of the event, Lucas and I kind of chatted, and so I'm going to be taking over running the Dallas Games Marathon event going forward in Texas. So all of the kind of quote unquote what used to be smaller Phoenix events, the 1-day events that we run, it's going to be on the 3rd Saturday of every month down here in Plano, Texas. The place is about a block from my house, so it's really easy for me to get to. All my terrain and stuff is here and there. I'll be running all those events. From between now and Adepticon, we're going to try to do combined Heresy days. So we've got a pretty good faction of guys that play Legions Imperialis, and I'm actually going to bug a couple of those guys next time I see them and see if they want to come on the podcast to talk about that game a little bit more, since none of us play it, none of us have experience with it, and also have obviously the normal Age of Darkness games going on at the same time as Legions Imperialis. So I'll be running those events, and then you can expect some prize support and things like that to come from the podcast, and some more kind of themed stuff going on there. And then hobby-wise,
sounds like an interesting batch of stuff going on.
Yeah, I kind of look forward to running the event, because they're smaller events. I mean, we usually get between 6 and 12 people for the event, so they're fun to run. And I used to run a lot of events when I worked at the hobby shop back in 2003 to 2010. So that was a fun time for me. So it's kind of nice to be getting back into that. But also, since these are smaller events, I'm going to be able to play in them too. So that'll be fun.
That'll be good.
Yeah, so that was kind of the event, and good news. Hobby-wise, obviously, I said I built that 1 tile. I've also been kind of painting up some of the bases that I need to kind of finish off this Arvis list. Even if it is kind of terrible, I've got everything assembled for it. I'm just kind of putting it through the paces to kind of finish off what I need to do to put it together. I've got the Kharanite Ogre bases all washed up, and I'm going to pick out the spot details and do the dry brushing while we're on the podcast tonight. And then I need to assemble the ogres that go on top of them tomorrow. I got all the Bellatori built earlier today, so that's where I'm at with all the hobby stuff. What about Amy?
So this week I've been I finished up the White Scars army, like totally. And then I've been printing and assembling some bonus units because I had leftover parts. I'm making some Outrider bikes because, yes, more bikes. Because, White Scars. And I know they kind of suck, but thought it was a cool little unit. So that's what I've been working on today in the past couple days when I've been free. I also started getting some I guess you would call it like nut and bolt tool sorters. I'm building like a rack system full of trays that pull out, smaller trays that pull out for like screws and nuts and bolts. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to build basically one of those boxes. Each one is going to be in a different mark of power armor or Terminator, different type of Terminator. So like I'll have all the leftover parts and spare parts that I have organized so that like I can just go, oh, I need a right-handed plasma gun or a plasma pistol, or I need a certain type of power weapon or whatever, and I just go over to that mark and open up the drawer and pull the part out because I've got so many of those little parts that I need to take care of and stop putting in like Ziploc bags and stuff like that because it's just not feasible keeping track of all this.
You mean like this right here, Jamie? You can see my screen.
No, this is more of like that's like more of like a tackle tray. This is more like a stand-up box or bin system. And I've been looking around for a little while, and I found some locally that they're not exactly cheap, but they're cheaper than some of the ones I was finding online. There were like Stanley ones that you get at like Home Depot.
See, I went to Harbor Freight, and they have a toolbox with pull-out drawers that I just showed you, and I went through and have Mark 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 all in their separate little areas, and everything divided up that way.
Yeah, I have some smaller ones right now with like Mark 3s in it. Some of the GW ones that I was given by my local store. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing, trying to sort everything out. So I've got it a little bit better organized. And then I am getting ready to order a new needle set for my H&S airbrush because I've been down on that for a bit, and one of our friends of the podcast, Christopher up in North Alabama, got one of the new H&S titanium needles and nozzle sets, and he does a lot of airbrushing just because he's a professional painter, and he said he was really liking the new stuff so far, the new needle set that they came out with just recently. So I got to get one of those too to get back airbrushing. So we're somewhat productive. I've got stuff lined up to get, once I get these bikes off my bench, to get painting. I got a bunch of Irredemptors and Contemptor Dreadnoughts that are already put together and base coated. So I just need to start working on the details and getting them all painted and weathered up, and they're ready to go. Shouldn't take too long. But how about Duncan? Or we already did Duncan, didn't we?
Yeah, it's me.
We absolutely did.
Yeah.
It's Jack.
So it's just Jack.
It's just
Jack.
Just Jack. Weird hobby update for this week. Nobody sells Stormbird storage, so I've made my own.
Because I think they stopped making the pack maxes, so you can have to find one of those used and get a new foam made for it. But
yeah. Well, the biggest they have on their website for
hardware company made them. Who's that company that makes the foam, but they come in cardboard boxes?
Oh, the biggest they
AR
have is
multi-case.
yeah,
AR multi-case, built hair or whatever. Yeah.
biggest they have is Thunderhawks. The biggest
Oh, okay.
army battle foam have on their website for and the custom foam creator is Thunderhawk.
I'm sure if you called it in, you can, because I've got Thunderhawk Pack Max trays, and just looking at them, well, I have one. I have a Thunderhawk tray, and there is a ton of leftover room to the point where I have like multiple slots for Land Raiders and Rhinos on the tray with the Thunderhawk, as well as like Contemptors and stuff like that.
Yeah, unfortunately, nobody does Stormbirds though.
Yeah.
So I bought myself. It's custom made from China for whoever. The one I'm using is a Heart brand, which is the Walmart in-house tool. It's like a tool carrying box. I have another one from in my truck that I use to keep the bed on my truck organized. That one's Cobalt, but it's the exact same design, literally exact same marking, just different logo on the outside of that. And I've been making myself my own Stormbird foam for the inside. I do have emailed out to Battle Foam for a Thunderhawk tray with room for other stuff on it. I'm waiting to hear back from them. But that has taken the majority of my week. Has been working on that. Getting little pieces here and there, trying desperately not to break the Stormbird, breaking the Stormbird, getting really mad at myself, fixing said Stormbird again, then breaking something completely different on it, and then fixing it, and then going back like I'm gonna have to repaint that now. Yay! But that's been the majority of today, this week. Past that, I think I'm gonna put it back over to John for the news.
Sure. So this week in news, Games Workshop dropped quite a few things. So first thing with our Sunday preview article coming for next week, we've got last. There we go. So we've got a few things coming out. The first is some neat terrain that might work on the battlefields of Heresy. The Boss Rock Tower and Scare Gob Totem for Fantasy or Age of Sigmar Orc. The Heresy related stuff, we're getting a bunch of Legions Imperialis Mechanicum, so they're breaking up the big battle force into separate releases. The Mechanicum Battle Automata box has the Voltarax, 2 Voltarax, 2 Arlatax, 2 Domitars, 2 Vorax spaces, and 4 Castellax. And then the Mechanicum Infantry box has the 2 Archmagos Primes on Abeyance, 2 Myrmidons, 2 Priest Auxilias, 4 Urtharax cohorts, 4 Myrmidon, 8 Thalax, and 10 Texthrall Covenants. And then there's a Mechanicum Triaros box that comes with 4 Triaros. From Black Library, they're pre-ordering the Primarchs collection, Visions of Glory and Despair. This is the A5 prints, or A3 prints that are all of the Primarchs before the Emperor showed up. So you get all the Primarchs kind of living their civilian life clothes. These were all the prints that were found in the back of the Siege of Terra books. So you saw all the different Primarchs that way. Warhammer Plus is going to be having the Primarch Arena of Death going through starting on New Year's Day. I'll probably try to watch that on New Year's Day. They claim it's the second episode, so I don't know if they did a previous Arena of Death and did something else, or if this is more Primarch fighting and we just missed the first announcement.
I think this is kind of what we did last year.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was either last year or the year before, and yeah. I'm
think
pretty
we did
sure
it last year, and I'm pretty sure it was Horus that won it.
Yeah, I think it was like Horus and Lorgar, or not Lorgar. What's his name? Space Wolf Primarch.
Leaving Russ?
Yeah, it was like Lehman Russ and Horus, and then like Lion Johnson was like in the top 3 or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was something like that. At least that's what they did. And that was either last year or the year before.
Yeah. It's been a while.
Okay. So we've talked before about the Dark Mechanicum Stalker construct. Those came in this week for stores. One of the guys bought a box of them, and the Serpros Overlord Heavy Stalkers, these are the bigger stalker robots that come with 4 per box, have their own set of custom Dark Mechanicum decals. And he was nice enough to open that up for me so I could check them out. And honestly, that is a gorgeous set of decals for any scale. It comes with a whole bunch of little Mechanicum cogs that are about 1 to 2 millimeters across, and they'll go great on pretty much anywhere you want to put stuff. They've also got a bunch of bands and a bunch of weird witchy poo writing and stuff like that. So there's some pretty cool stuff on that decal sheet. I don't know if there's any decal sheets for the normal Mechanicum for Legions Imperialis. I haven't seen any of that yet because no one locally has played the Mechanicum yet for Imperialis. From Joy Toy, we got announcements of 2 different Sisters of Silence units. So we've got one in gold called the White Falcons Vigilator Cadre. This is just 3 different women in gold armor with the large swords that they're known for. And it looks like some of them come with bolters and some of them come with flamers as well. One of them has a helmet, and then 2 of them are helmetless. And then there's also the Argent Link Vigilator Cadre. These ones are done up in more of a dark steel look. And for some reason, some of them say that they're part of Nedia Kroll, but I don't know why it says that because hers were the Falcons. So I don't know why it says the Argent Links are part of her. But also coming out for pre-order is Captain Constantin Valdor, the Legio Custodes Master. And he is a big boy. He is almost as tall as Lehman Russ Primarch figure. GW has him up for pre-order for $159 US, and he comes with a free t-shirt. But again, I recommend if you're going to get these figures, look around. Like I said before, USA Gundam does pre-orders, and they're going to take a while to get to you, but they're definitely a lot cheaper. Amazon always has them a little bit cheaper. And then there's always the straight from China approach if you want to go that route. But there's always ways to do this. I just think they're GW's a little crazy on prices on some of these figures. And that's really all we've gotten from the news. There's not anything else kind of coming out since we're coming near to the end of the year, and so nothing's really quite come out yet from other companies.
All right, so that takes us over to our meat and potatoes.
Yep, I like meat and potatoes.
Mm-hmm.
So every year, we all kind of, as a group, do a thing where we set our hobby goals for what we want for the next year, and we kind of call it as our hobby resolutions. And John, because he's John and he's awesome like that, keeps track of stuff for us. So John, who you want to have start this off today?
Oh, it's up to y'all.
I vote
You want to do
Duncan.
Dan since he's not here?
Sure, let's do Dan since he's not here.
All right. So Dan's New Year's resolution was to get all of his Ultramarines done up from a tabletop level to a quote unquote complete and finished painted standard. Then he
Okay.
wanted to finish all of his started Blood Angels and Ixion Hail because he wanted to do that for the Golden Demon at Adepticon. And then he wanted to finish all of his Word Bearers. Ironically, that's something he kind of did since he won a whole bunch of them. And then his grand overall scheme was to finish 3 projects for every one that he started.
Okay. I don't know if he did any of those, honestly.
I know that he did none of those. I think he did some Ultramarines. I think he did. I know he didn't enter the Ixion Hail into the Golden Demon or anything like that. So I don't think he finished 3 projects for every one he started. I'll put that one out there. The next person I have in line is Jack.
Oh Lord.
Jack planned to finish 2 super heavies, and he specifically said one of them was a secret legged super heavy, and one of them was the Mastodon. And he wanted to have a second army capable of playing 2.0 by the end of the year.
Well, the Mastodon is done.
How many times did you have to start it over, though?
Well, technically speaking, I think it's 3 super heavies worth of Mastodons.
Yeah.
That does sound about right.
What was the other thing? Other super heavies?
A legged super heavy?
A Leggett super heavy?
Yeah, with legs.
Oh, I was going to print off a Titan this year. Life got in the way of that, definitely. Definitely did not do that. Sucked at that one 1,000 times over. Yeah. I didn't say anything else that crazy.
Getting an army capable of playing a second army capable of 2.0.
If by second army I meant more Ultramarines done, then yes.
Well, you have 2 armies, or at least 2 armies worth of Ultramarines.
Yeah, I definitely have that taken care of.
Yep.
Outstanding. Counting that as a win. Solid B.
Oh God.
All right. Jamie, you wanted to update your super heavies. You wanted to do a Dark Angel super heavy. You wanted to start the White Scars, and you wanted to finish a Zone Mortalis table.
So, super heavies, none. Didn't start any of them. Didn't start any of them. I have them. I have some, but I didn't like. I guess. Yeah. I didn't actually start on any of them. The second one was the what?
Start the White Scars, which definitely I think you more didn't want to start them.
Yeah, they're done. And then the ZM table, with what's happened with me life-wise, yeah, I've gotten stuff. It's not done, but I have, I'd say 90% of the parts and most of the walls and stuff. Walls are trimmed, sanded, and ready to get painted. So like it kind of stillborn, but like I have it. I've been printing a lot of stuff for other people, to be honest with you. So
Yep.
But yeah, I'd say maybe like 1 of 3. 1.5 of 3. How about that?
I think at least. I mean, you exceeded those starting the White Scars, so.
Yeah, and I mean, I actually like. I know Dark Angel wise, like that army's never going to be completed. I'll just keep adding stuff as it comes out. And I mean, I did quite a bit for it this year. I mean, I essentially built a second Dark Angels army because the one I had before was kind of Fire Wing or like normal just shooty troops, and basically I converted it over to a pretty sizable Iron Wing army, everything mobilized, tank based, and then on top of that I got about half of my what do you call them, the Dreadwing section done. Like that's like about another almost 3,000 points of minis that I've got. That say that's about half done painted. So I mean, I not from lack of trying. Let's just put it that way.
All right. Okay, Duncan.
Oh God. I can already tell this is going to be bad.
Duncan, you plan to finish the stuff for Corin? A table and terrain for Corin was going to help you, or he's going to help you out on that. That's right.
Yep. So the table's done.
Is it though?
Awesome.
Is it?
I mean, it only needs to be lowered by about like.
It's taller than my nipples are off the ground.
Shut up.
He just wants to work on your upper back strength when you play a game, Jack.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So we need to lower it by 8 inches. So other than that, it's fine.
You wanted to finish your Blood Angels, and you were very adamant that meant all of them.
Yeah, that's done.
You wanted to finish your World Leader tank and get a whole bunch of World Leaders painted.
Well, I've gotten a whole bunch of World Leaders that are painted. Tanks, yep, they're here. 2 of them are assembled. Nope, hang on. Three of them are assembled. And there's like 6 more that are not yet assembled.
You wanted to paint a Super Heavy?
I did not get the one that I wanted to do for the World Leaders finished, unfortunately. I do have it assembled. I just have, mostly assembled, but I've been fighting with the tracks for a long time, and I kind of just gave up and put it onto the back burner.
In addition to that, you were very specific that it was in addition to that. You wanted to acquire and paint a legged Super Heavy because you have the Ursus Claws.
I do have a legged Super Heavy. I have a Warhound. I have acquired that. I have not finished it. I have not assembled it. I have not touched paint to it.
Could it still be in a box?
It could very well still be in the exact same box it came in.
And finally, you wanted to enter Sanguinius in the Golden Demon.
Oh, I didn't get a chance to do that last year because on the way to Adepticon, he broke. Yep. So that was a problem. I have repaired him. He is ready to go. And I do plan to enter him, as long as he does not break again, into Golden Demon next year. So that one's going to be a push. That one, yeah, that one's a push.
Yep. And then finally me. So obviously, life decided that was going to suck this year, so I didn't get nearly accomplished what I wanted to. My goals were to double my Ultramarines, to start the ZM table, and to finish the Highway table. Somewhere along the way, the Highway table evolved into the Memorial Garden table. Originally, the Memorial Garden was going to kind of be the line of sight blocking piece in the middle, and then it kind of evolved into a roadside shrine that was going to be on the side of the highway with a bunch of extra parts, and now it's just become kind of its own ZM table to be the highway shrine. When I say start ZM, technically, the Secret Squirrel projects that I'm working on are going to be part of the ZM table in the future once we're done with what we're using them for Secret Squirrel stuff.
Yep.
And then doubling the Ultramarine. Well, I can't say that I officially finished them, but I did manage to prime, base coat, and highlight all the way up to getting ready for decals the 10 tubs of Ultramarines infantry that I had.
A good start.
As well as building some new stuff. So that, if I finish that stuff, that would double the points of Ultramarines that I have. So I got halfway on that one. Now the grand question, gentlemen, what's 2025 going to be?
Now, I think before we get to 2025, we each need to be honest and rate ourselves how we feel we did overall.
Okay.
And I'll go first. I feel I get a strong C-. I do have World Leaders built. I do have World Leaders painted. I do not have the World Leaders tanks done. I do not have the Super Heavy done. I do not have the legged. I do not have the Warlord Titan or Warhound Titan done. But I do have the Blood Angels finished. And they are all ready to go. And they are well more than the 3,000 points I wouldn't have needed. And Sanguinius is done, and he could have gone into the Golden Demon like I had originally planned. So I'm calling myself a C-. Oh, and the table. The table's done. It's just, yeah, I'm calling a push on that because I need to drop that by 8 inches, like I said. So, like I said, C-. I didn't get enough of it done.
One thing I learned from working in corporate America when you have to do your self-evals is that you put it on your boss to mark you down. Okay, I got one of those. Jamie, you are okay with this, with people seeing you like that, Jamie, right?
Yeah.
But one thing I learned with corporate America is make your boss mark you down. So that being said, looking at this year and everything that has been accomplished, I'm gonna give myself a solid B, like I said before, and I'm gonna leave it to the audience to mark me down if they have the stones. They don't. It's a B. Jamie, what about you?
Sorry, I don't understand what you're saying.
It's your turn to grade yourself on how you think you did for 2024.
Oh, well, if it goes by how my work goes at like the self evals at work, I'll do the best I can and put that on my evals, and my boss says met expectations. So I'm gonna go with like a D to C minus area.
Okay.
I mean, I
John?
didn't. I mean, I didn't
Yeah,
get done the table and the super heavy done. So I mean, but
I think I'm fairly C. I mean, if you look at the highway table slash garden, that's actually one thing I didn't talk about during the event is I put everything out to check out how it looked all together for the first time. And apart from breaking some stuff in transit and then finding out that I definitely do want to add some spacers onto the bottom of these things, I think it's basically done building. So it's not painted or anything like that. Um, and then doubling the Ultramarines, I got about, I consider getting all the blues down and getting sealed about halfway, is the way that I paint my Marines. So, yeah, I think a C is probably pretty good, probably pretty accurate.
Okay. Well, who wants to go first for next year?
I vote John.
Yeah, I think, well, I was about to say, I think I can because it's going to be fairly easy. I definitely have to get the 2 tables finished. So that would be the Serpentor City and the Memorial Garden finished. One of the things we talked about this weekend while we were at the event was the garden's kind of flat. It's nice, but it is still a ZM table, so it's not a lot of pull from a distance. So I'm thinking about building a 2 foot by 2 foot center square that will add some height to it from a distance to make it look a little more impressive,
like
as
a
well as
big
the
fountain or
ability.
something, or like a
Yeah, because remember, there's going to be a running fountain in the middle of this, and so that way it'll give kind of the ability for people to see it. And this will also allow me to hide the electronics that are needed to run the fountain. It's got to plug in, and so I bought a chargeable battery that takes a plug-in. That'll be a way to run that without having to run power cords all over the event hall.
Which would be a good thing.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's kind of the goal for that. All I've got to do then is just build up the foam and cut around it to get the stuff done. I tried out the fountain today, and half of it works and the other half doesn't. So I'm going to try to clean it up a little bit. If that doesn't work, I've already found a couple of exact replicas of that fountain on Amazon. I ordered those today. I can drop those in if I need to, if they don't work. So obviously, so for me, it's going to be finishing those 2 tables and then the giveaway table as well. The other thing I would like to do is I'd like to get my Mechanicum. I don't want to say done because I have so much of that already, but I think at least halfway through. So my main goal is to have the Skitarii faction done for Mechanicum. That's going to be all the Skitarii as well as their transports. My hope is to get more of that stuff done because as well as painting the transports, I want to be painting while I'm painting the Skitarii, I want to be painting the Myrmidons, so that way I can get all of the cloth, the models that are majority cloth done at the same time. And then while I'm painting the transports, I want to be painting the Thalax and Castellax and Thanatars, so I can get everything that's fairly armor intensive done at the same time. And then from there, I could add on whatever other units I want to add on as the army goes forward, kind of like I've done everything else. And then probably add on some more Zone Mortalis stuff as I go forward. That's my goals.
All right. I think that's very doable for you, John. I know how you crank stuff out.
Yep,
And
I agree.
I guarantee you somewhere along the ways you're gonna start coming like stretch goals, and the 2 tables are going to turn into 8 tables, and then you're going to quadruple your Ultramarines at the same time. Completely redo your Knight Army, and decide that you are going to do a Transformer themed Black Shield Army.
I don't think
Yes.
I'm going to quadruple the Ultramarines, but I think I might revisit what I've got already and start doing the decal work. That's something that could be done, in passing as I've got free time while I'm working from home or something that can be easily done in and out. So I may try to stretch goal getting the Ultramarines finished that I've already have done.
I am going to look forward to that Transformer Black Shield Army that you're talking about doing. That will look fantastic when you get it done. I know it will, sir.
I saw Gundam themed
Tau when I was doing Tau back in the day were supposed to be Gundam themed. I had
no, these are like
cast heads and stuff.
Space Marines and Terminators, okay, but like
yeah, I've seen them. They're
Gundam suit themed. And yeah, I saw the STLs today. I was looking around. I was like,
I don't like combining my space races. Okay,
yeah.
They have to stay separate. Like Xeon. In fact, my glasses are Xeon, ironically enough. So keep my racism separately. But my main goal is these things, and then obviously if I can't get some of those Ultramarines finished as well, if for no other reason than the fact that I'm having to push the damn storage containers around every time I use the airbrush.
In the Black Shield Transformers. Duncan, what are you going to do this coming year?
Okay, so mine's going to be a little different. I'm going to set myself a fairly decent set of goals. I am going to acquire new lighting for my paint setup so that I can then use that with the hover cam to actually do more painting tutorial videos. That's one. Number 2, I'm going to figure out a way to put the camera that John gave me for this express purpose onto a rig that can go around a table so that we can use it to record games as they're being played and possibly live stream them when they're being played. We'll see about that. That's number 2. Okay. I'm going to finish this table, get it all the way down to where it should be so that people who are not 6'1" like myself can play games on it and not feel miserable. Yes, Jack, you're welcome. I'll get the terrain for that fully painted as well. At least one set of terrain, if not more, because I've got at least 3 tables worth of terrain on it. I am going to finish the World Eaters. The Project Army for the 3K for Adepticon will be finished by and for Adepticon so that I can play it at Adepticon. I'm going to run 2 events at Adepticon. So that's kind of a gimme. I've already signed up to do that. I'm going to paint 2 Primarchs this year. I'm going to finish the Fellblade for the World Eaters. And I'm going to finish that damned Warhound Titan. Beyond that, depending on how everything looks, I'm going to begin a new non-trader army, maybe for Adepticon next year. We will see. The hell with it. I'll just go ahead and say it. Yeah, I'll go ahead and do a new army for Adepticon next year. I don't know quite yet if I want it to be White Scars, which is the direction I'm currently leading. We'll see how I feel after painting all of the white on the rest of these World Leaders. It'll either be them or it'll be Night Lords. It'll be one of the two. So I'll figure that part out whenever I get there.
Night Lords are loyalists?
They can be. They can be.
They're loyal to their own their own.
They're loyal to their Primarch, so that counts.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess technically they're really not, because then they're
No,
they hate him too.
No, they're not.
Yeah, they hate him too. So I don't know. I'll either do the White Scars or I'm scratch the Lilith part. I'll either do White Scars or I'll do Night Lords. Depending on what Jack decides we're taking to Adepticon 2026, I'll work around that and do either one of those two armies for Adepticon 26.
Well, we already have 26 figured out. You're playing Ultramarines.
Oh, Christ on a pogo stick.
Yeah.
Thank God you already have the entire army painted, so I don't need to worry about it.
Exactly. It's even better. It's even better.
But yeah, that's mine. That's it. That's all I'm going to put down. Anything else will be just shooting myself in the foot.
Jamie, what about you?
Yep.
Well, I think I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna definitely at least start another Potts army. Duncan was kind of talking a little bit about it today, but I don't know what it's going to be. So I'm going to start another Tots army at some point this year. I will probably have it done, but I'm going to go low and get started on it. I think I am going to take a break from Power Armor, and I don't know if I want to do this or not. Okay, so I'm gonna make my Night House playable. I've already got 4 larger knights, so I've got enough of the armigers to make it make the house playable, and then I'd like to add one big boy, like a Polyphyron or whatever its name is, to it, or something along that lines. I don't know if I'm gonna add the Polythyron to it, but definitely I'm gonna get started on the armigers, and I'd like to get it playable. Now, the thing may want to do that's a reach, and I'm talking a huge reach. It also depends on when it comes out, because I really, really, really am digging the new Death Corps of Krieg army, and I kind of want to do that as like a Solar Ox or a Milita army, but I'm not sure with how much of what all's coming out of it and how long it's going to take to get playable. So I'm just going to go with keep working on my Dark Angels, try and get my my Dreadwing finished, the Armigers finish out, like make my Night House playable, and then start another Tots army, at least 3,000 points. Which they usually always are there, if not considerably more than that. But I'll go low just because with how the turmoil I have going in my life.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to work on knights too. And in fact, I picked up a bunch of effects parts to make the Archeon. I think that's the one with the black hole gun.
Yeah,
make that look like it's
Darkarion. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the flamer guys too. I bought a bunch of like toy effect parts that'll look really cool on knights, but
yeah, I don't have
to fit all this stuff in the schedules is hard.
I don't have those two. I have the Castigator and a Lancer, and then I've got a Mageria, which is the one with the lightning cannon of the smaller Forge World one, and then just a Bog regular knight. But I've got like a box of probably 4 other knights, and then I've got all the armigers I need, and then I also have a Lancer, but I was a Forge World Lancer, but that's gonna end up being for a Toys for Tots army. I think I'm also gonna throw in a couple regular knights with that too, but I don't know if that's the Toys for Tots army I'm gonna do this year. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do yet. Kind of want to do something different. I'm getting kind of down to the bottom end of armies that I haven't done yet.
Mm-hmm.
And they're some of the more chaosy armies. Let's just put it that way. Emperor's Children, Sons of Horus, Emperor's Children, Sons of Horus. There's one other Trader Legion I haven't done. I'm trying to remember what it is. Anyways, somebody else who hasn't gone yet.
Well, Dan, but he's not here, so he can't defend himself. So I think we should declare what Dan's hobby goals are for him.
So he's going to start 10 new armies of at least 3,000 points each, have them fully painted in base and ready for by Adepticon of this year.
Bare minimum.
Bare minimum.
Jesus. Okay, I think that's enough for Dan.
Nope, I'm not done. He's also going to do 10 full 6x4 tables on foldable legs for Adepticon of 2026. Full terrain, blocking. Some tables will have special effects on them. I think that's pretty easy for Dan.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty low fruit for him.
Fantastic.
I think Dan's gonna have a stroke, but that's fine. That's fine. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, as Dan has said many times, he does not listen to the podcast after we record it, so he does not know about any of this, so he'll be okay.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. There is one more thing I do want to add to my list.
Okay.
And this is more a financial one and a getting around to it one. I think it's time for me to get an Infinity. So
get what?
Get a Harder and Steinbeck airbrush.
Infinity? Okay. There had been some decent deals on the older style ones recently.
Yeah, I'm not worrying about the current getting it right now. I'm sitting here like I will get one when I acquire one this year, but I will acquire one this year.
Gotcha. Well, they're very good. We'll give them that. I'm not going to get into the debate of which is better, but they're on the higher end of airbrushes. That's for sure.
I can tell you which one's better. It's the one that you enjoy using the most that enables you to get your crap done.
Yep.
That's the best one.
That is the best one. And for me, the best one for years has been the Sotar. But now I think I'm ready to try a different and see how I feel about it.
Oh, compared to a Sotar, you'll love it because they're much easier to maintain clean. Like, they're so much easier to...
That's kind of my hope.
Yeah. Like, and even if you have to go back to square one and like replace everything, it's totally modular. It's mostly seals. I mean, you can get most of it done with like an $11 seal kit. So, I mean, there's a couple expensive parts in there, but I mean, like the needle sets are around $50 to $60, and that's needle nozzle and cap end cap, and then there's the air valves. You can get replacement air valves for like $30-$40. I mean, like that's I mean, you can easily rebuild them all. I've done it. I mean, they're very, very easy to maintain. It's a luxury of how easy it is to maintain compared to a Badger. And I have tons of parts for Badgers.
Well, we'll see how it goes when the time comes.
Very nice.
So yeah, that's I think that finishes all of us off on what we want to do for 2025.
Perfect. I'm not doing anything for 2025. Outstanding.
No.
Thank you, Duncan.
No, wait. Yeah, Jack hadn't gone. You're right.
Nope. You said we're done, so that means we're done.
Nope, Jack. No. Jack, you got to tell us what you're gonna do.
No, you said we're done, buddy.
I'm calling a mulligan.
You can't do that. That's illegal.
Yeah, I just did
in 3 states. The goals for 2025 are never to paint a mastodon again. I'm never doing that.
I will print one out just for you to paint for me.
No, that's not happening.
In trade for a vial of Gilliman Blue.
He's thinking about it. It is very situational on my goals for this year. By that, I mean I want to do something with deathcore like Jamie has talked about. That's also very depending on what type of army list I can come up with, is very dependent upon model releases.
It's just something different. It's
Yeah.
been a long time since I've done a IG style army, and I hated it before, but I just really love those models.
Yeah,
and I have for a long time. So
yeah,
I'm right there with you, bud.
Yeah, I'm thinking something with tanks, horses, and a couple things
Artillery.
of infantry, and just leaving it, doing something like that, something that I think would be very visually entertaining / World War I-esque.
Yeah.
Is where I'm leaning towards that. Stuff that I know I will get done this year. I will continue to work on the Ultramarines. I have 6 tanks sitting on my desk right now that are waiting to be weathered. They're already deckled. So I'll continue to work on that. I will run an event at Adepticon, and not freak out on anybody. And I will. My goal that I would like to do this year is taking Adepticon out of it. At least, and this is going to sound really stupid, at least get 6 games in this year outside of Adepticon, because I haven't played since Adepticon last year. So
has it really been that long
since I've played a game? Yeah.
Jeez.
Feels like you need to visit a friend with a table.
I need a what? A German table?
Visit a friend that has a table.
Oh, too bad I don't have any of those.
What, friends or friends with tables?
Yes. So I think that rolls us in. Stretch goals, like if I want to be super ambitious, I would like to get the table done this year, but that table involves resin pouring and framing and a bunch of different stuff that I would love to get done this year. That if nothing blows up, I'll have time to, but that's demanding nothing blows up anywhere. So, what else are we going to cover tonight, guys?
Well, we already talked about last week. We talked about what we want or hope GW is going to put out for us. What kind of, I think one last thing we can probably talk about is what goals do we want to set for the podcast, not just ourselves, for next year?
From a pure self-sustainability standpoint, I would love for the YouTube channel to hit 500 subs. Right now we're at 154. So getting the sub count up to on YouTube to 500, and then getting there's more content on the YouTube channel overall.
Okay. Okay.
What about you all?
Yeah, I've got the secret squirrel projects that I think are going to help us with maybe expanding some of the stuff we're doing here. I've also got some other projects that I've been discussing locally with some of the guys for some cool Adepticon things and event things. But yeah, I think expanding our reach, definitely. I know I've had a bunch of people over this week to work on a bunch of issues that I've had around the house with electrical and garbage disposal, things like that. And a couple of them said, "Oh yeah, I like 40K. I just never got into it." And I handed out our stickers and information so they could look us up later. So if you're listening, guys, hi. But I definitely want to be able to, kind of push our listener base and run some more events, run some more contests, things like that. Try to get our name out there as much as possible.
Okay. One thing that I'm personally hoping and intending to work on this year is arranging somehow a an LLC for the podcast, so we can get that set up so that hopefully we don't have to have another host-based emergency or a community-based emergency that we need to help someone with, so we can sit there and start having some of the stuff funding itself rather than us all having to chip in extra money when we're all doing stuff already. Um, Beyond that,
One thing I have done to kind of expand our reach, come to think of it, is I've started with Jack's help posting our shows on Rumble, which I know a lot of people don't know what that is or kind of poo-poo it, but it's basically the not YouTube out there. There is some heresy content out there on Rumble and some modeling content, but putting the podcast out there definitely gets us into new eyes of people that don't like the fact that YouTube plays so many ads and things like that.
YouTube has ads?
See, I wouldn't know that because there's ways around that, but yeah.
Yeah, there's ways around it, but sometimes I'm on the phone. I have to either go premium or go other things.
nope, he's right. Yeah, I sit through them frequently because I do not want to give them extra money. The other thing I want to do is I kind of like to get more community engagement to help figure out what we want to plan for the rest of the stuff or for the stuff we're gonna do for 2025. I know we have a few projects that we're already all working on for 2025, but I think a little more community engagement would be nice. Maybe put it out there to let the community vote on what some of our posters will be that we do for 2026 and the end of 2025. Figure that out. We'll figure something out there.
If you're looking for that, one of my secret squirrel projects is, it's been discussed before, I think on here, but I've always liked the Marauder Vigilant, which is the Marauder that's kind of the SR-71 of the 40K universe. It goes around, takes pictures of the battlefield, and basically just does surveying and scouting work. I don't know if anyone else has gotten them, but there's a tiny cameras ads that go around on Facebook and Instagram and things like that. Usually intercut with a bunch of old grainy photos, like, no, your camera sucks, why would I want to use this type of thing? And then they splash in pictures from the early 2000s/80s and 90s, and then intercut some of the older photos, like either people shooting out in the desert or doing other things that we can't talk about in the podcast, but it's kind of funny as it cuts back and forth. Anyway, I bought a couple of these different cheapo cameras. They're about $10 to $15 a piece, depending on which ones you pick. And they are about 1 inch by 2 inches deep because they've got a little focusing ring on them. And I've always kind of talked before with Lucas and everybody else about how cool it would be at bag style game events or big games where you've got somebody else that's not necessarily in the game, but they get a bunch of grainy photos and it says, where do you want to do a strafing run or a bombing range and things like that. You're getting this detached view of the battlefield, but it looks fairly realistic compared to Call of Duty and things like that.
I like that idea.
Well, I'm going to expand it with your idea. If there's a good enough internet connection at the event, we could put the polls out on Twitter and say, hey, whoever votes for this in the next 10 minutes, that's going to get an orbital strike. Whichever area we're going to deem out of these two gets an orbital strike or something like that.
I like that idea. I absolutely like that idea quite a lot.
Like I said, I've got the camera. I figured out how to use it because it's the instructions are in Chinese and there's 4 unlabeled buttons, so it's a little difficult. But the more important part is I ordered the Marauder. I'm not guaranteeing this is going to be done by Adepticon, but we'll see when it gets done.
Hey, when it gets done is when it gets done.
But don't say that because I have so many not done projects.
Yes, but you're putting it out there that something for the cast. We both know that when you do something for the cast, that you work your ass off getting it done. So
yeah,
that'll count. Can't think of anything else. Can any of you?
More listeners or just expanding our reach, I guess. I mean,
Well, yeah, that's always a good one. I like
Yeah.
the idea of expanding our reach and more listeners. But yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, one final thing I do want. Another year of engaging, fun, and hobby positive heresy content from us. So, yes,
Yeah,
let's
I
just keep
definitely
doing what
think
we're doing.
I think that we've changed a little bit from where we've come from. I mean, obviously, with the beginning of the episode talking about the negatives that come with designs and things like that that exist in Heresy are going to be there because we're playing a game and it's going to happen. But as we've said last episode, we're not afraid to call balls and shots as we see them.
Yep. And we're not afraid to go back and say, we were wrong. This is better than we thought it would be.
Yep.
So,
I mean, I think this year we've done a better job about being positive. Would you not agree? I mean,
I would
Yeah.
say we have.
I mean,
would say we have.
again, I mean, like we have, as you said, if we see balls and strikes, we're going to call them. But generally, we've been pretty positive, I would say, this year about everything. So, I
Yep.
mean, let's hear back from the listeners and see what they think, especially the long term listeners. I mean, I think we've done a lot better job this year about that, because I know we got called out on it.
I'd
So.
say you're right. Yeah. We have done better, and hopefully our listeners who've been around for a while will say the same. And any listeners out there who have improvement suggestions or things they would like to see us do differently, let us know. We're always up for constructive and sometimes non-constructive criticism.
Oh, I know something that we should do.
Go
We
for it.
need to do more engagement with the patron supporters. So
We
be
do.
that video, special patron only podcasts, which I think what we've done 3 of them now,
Yep.
something like that. We need to do that more regularly, and some other stuff for them, just because they help keep the lights on, and they've been long time. Most of them have been pretty long time listeners for us.
Yep.
Well,
And that is the intention. That is the intention for us to do at least one episode a month just for the patrons. So we have not done one for December. Surprise! December ends in 2 days, so we'll figure something out.
Well, I mean, we had the Secret Santa, so that could work.
Yep, that is true. We'll do that. We'll count that. Do we have anything else, gentlemen, or should we call it a night here?
I'm good.
yeah, I
Duncan,
think
you
we're
want to
done.
tell John to take us out of here?
I will tell Jamie to tell John to take us out of here.
Hey, John, can you take us out of here?
Yeah, absolutely. So this has been episode 109 of the Heresy Accountabilibuddies Podcast. I'm your host, John, and I've been joined by
Duncan.
Jack?
And Jamie.
and we really appreciate everyone listening to us tonight. We hope you've had a good 2024, and hopefully everyone's going to have a great 2025. And we look forward to keeping everyone accountable as we go forward. So always remember to stay accountable yourself, to your buddies, and your hobby, and have a great night.